Welcome to YPN Hot Seat. My name is Corey Whedon, mortgage lender with First Premier Bank, member of the YPN Steering Committee, and co-chair of the YPN Membership Committee. Each week, we bring you one of your fellow YPN members so that you can learn more about other members and tips or tricks to their success in business and life. Thank you for spending time with us. Now let's let the hot seat begin. Nicholas, I'm personally excited, super excited actually, to host this interview with you today. Why don't you start by telling each of us who you are, where you work, and what you do for a living?
Absolutely, Corey. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. My name is Nicholas Skajewski. I'll say that one more time. Skajewski is how you pronounce the last name. And I do go by Nicholas. It typically makes me sound older, which is always a benefit for me, being the young guy in the room. I work for US Foods as an account executive. And what that means is I get to help larger organizations in South Dakota, schools, universities, healthcare systems, with innovation and technology from a food and beverage perspective. And then my wife and I also own and operate a catering company here in Sioux Falls called Skajewski Catering, where we cater meals and do virtual events as small as 1 or 2 people and as big as 500. So
which one would you say pretty much takes up a lot of your time? And do you ever even get free time if you're doing both?
Free time is tough. It's the Monday through Friday US Foods job, and then it's the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday catering jobs. And we do a virtual class series on most Tuesday nights as well, where we do a live stream virtual class. And that's something we started in the middle of the pandemic that's been really, really successful. Not just for us, but for people doing something fun and engaging in their home. And that's been fun.
Yeah. So is it a normal with US Foods? We'll touch base on that first. Is it a normal just 8 to 5?
Yeah, as best as it can be. I try to help customers. And so if a customer calls at 6 in the morning and they're concerned, I'll be there. Or if it's late at night, I'll be there. Occasionally, there's some overlap. I try not to have that happen. And luckily, Skajewski Catering has grown so much in the past 2 years that, we do have 16 team members, chefs, mixologists, sommeliers, service professionals. And so there's oftentimes events that they will be servicing, and I can ensure that I'm 2 places at once as best as I can be.
Cool. So you said Skajewski Catering has really grown in the last 2 years. Obviously, COVID hit the entire country really, really hard. Took a lot of self-employed business owners out of business, all that kind of stuff. But you said actually in the last 2 years you've been growing. So what has really been some of the strong suits? What have you really specialized in that you've seen? Maybe these weddings aren't happening, maybe these big events aren't happening, but you're still able to thrive. What is really building that business for you?
Great question, Corey. Taking it back a step, I started Skajewski Catering in January of 2019, when at the time I was the regional executive chef for Avera McKinnon. And so any Avera property here in town that had food and beverage, myself and my co-managers were managing, and that job was very executive. My chef coat never got dirty, per se, right? I was managing people. And that's not why I became a chef. I love the engagement with people. I love food. I love making people happy through food, and being more on that front line of it. And so I opened up a catering company as a way to still be creative and engage in that way. And I thought truly it would be a fun thing to do once or twice a month. Did not think with the Chef Dominique's of the world, mad respect to him, that we would be that busy. And I was quickly incorrect. We went from a couple events a month to now 50% of the month, it seems like, is an event. We've got to grow our team. And I think to your question, reasons why that is we do things pretty unique. The 2 things that we stand on that differentiate what we do versus what most catering companies do is that we do not ever preset pricing or menus. So clients come to us and say, hey, we have a bachelorette party. Our budget is $50 a person, $5 a person, $500 a person. And we custom create concepts inside that price point, which allows customers to never be surprised with an invoice and keeps our creative side flowing, being that it's not a menu that's reused time and time again. And then, we do try to prepare everything live on site. And so if a client has a kitchen, we'll do it live there. If they've got a conference room, we'll bring electric equipment, set that conference room up as a kitchen, prepare it live there. That way, when we're butler passing around prosciutto wrapped scallops, they were cooked 30 seconds ago, opposed to 2 hours ago in our space and transported over.
Yeah, so super fresh.
Super fresh, and I think that word spread. People sort of don't
Yeah.
realize that it's an experience, and business has followed.
So does it make it a struggle? I know there's a lot of people that are usually following some type of strict diet, or they have some type of allergy or something to food where they just can't eat what everybody else is eating. Does that make it tough?
I don't know if it makes it tough. It adds another layer of detail for sure. For example, the event we have tonight is a rehearsal dinner. Everyone's eating the same thing. The event tomorrow is a wedding where every guest is having a rosemary garlic chicken thigh type dish with a cremini champagne sauce, except for two people. Two people need salmon. And so I just get 2 salmon fillets and we'll just cook that up on the side,
Okay.
It doesn't get to be too challenging. I think working at Avera, I learned about 28 different diet types. Prior to Avera, I knew of like 2.
Yeah.
And so, getting that education was super helpful. And I'm not one to shy away from trying out new diets also. I never want to fall under that stigma of never trust a skinny chef. I want to be a skinny chef that you trust.
Yeah.
So.
Super cool. So I know before this, we got about 5-10 minutes to chat before we actually went live. For everybody that might be watching, we do bring in Kayla and Nicholas 10 minutes before just to make sure the systems work, kind of go over a few things. But Kayla was actually just talking about how her parents are just spreading the word about you. They absolutely loved the little 2-person, 3-person, 4-person. I'm not sure details on what that was, but they're just raving about you coming into their home and doing something. So what service was that? What is that they're just still raving about that Kayla mentioned?
Yeah, that's awesome. Her parents are great people. We offer a service that's in-home catered meals, in-home cooking classes, hands-on or demonstration. And I would say that's about 50% of our business now, Corey. Whereas the other 50% would be more of a traditional catered meal. And, we don't see other, competitors doing that because it's not necessarily a way to be extremely profitable. But for us, we think about it as relationship building. And so now I know Kayla's parents, right? And I didn't know them before. And now they know about what we offer. And so what she's referencing is we worked with Kayla actually, because it was a surprise for her parents. That's a whole nother thing when it's a surprise, husband surprises wife, vice versa. It's fun.
Yeah.
But we work to create a 4-course menu, and we show up a couple hours before the mealtime and prepare all of those courses live on site. Maybe we're pairing wine or cocktails with it as well. And then, you're catered to in your home. You don't need anything. We bring the stemware, the placemats, the plates, the cooking equipment, the food, clean up when we're done. And you really feel like you're a guest in your own home. And again, they pick the budget, right? And so it's not like this crazy expensive experience. If they want that concept to be, $100, it's going to be $100, and we'll make it happen for them.
Yeah. So on something like that, can somebody just say, hey, what does $50 get me? What does $100 get me? What does $150 get me? And then you kind of give some, here's give or take what you'll be looking at. Do you have that option, or are you just, here's $50? I hope I get something good.
Super creative. People do that all the time. What does this price point versus this price point look like? And that just fuels my creative side. I never want to do a menu twice. And so I'll create 2 different proposals and send them off. And there's always that disclaimer that just so you know, we do everything unique and fresh and creative. So please don't hesitate to tell us this is way off base, or we don't want scallops, or let's do something else. That feedback is taken in a really positive way, and then we'll restructure the menu and send it back out. There's times where I can tell clients will say, yes, that sounds good. And I can just tell that doesn't really sound good. And just encouraging them, because I think so often in the past, they've been in scenarios where this is what it is, and I just kind of have to deal with it, Yeah. We don't want that to be the case.
Interesting. And is anybody else in Sioux Falls offering that type of service, or are you pretty much the only one? I haven't heard of chefs doing that here in Sioux Falls anyways.
Yeah, not too common. There are so many great chefs and restaurants and organizations in town that specialize in doing things different than we do. And I'd like to think that we're all to the point where we refer each other. There's a lot of times where I'm referring clients to other businesses, and there's times where I get clients from other catering companies and so on and so forth, because That's small business helping small business.
Yeah. And in Sioux Falls, just being a mortgage lender, I know that tight community of in your specific business, I'm sending business elsewhere. I'm receiving business from elsewhere as well. So just knowing that Sioux Falls is that great place to, yes, we're a big city, we're growing and growing, but we're still such a small community that we're all willing to help each other. That's awesome. I do know one of the biggest questions that anybody ever has for a chef is how in the world do you actually get to become a chef? What goes into the training, schooling? Where do you have to go to schooling? Is Hell's Kitchen actually what it's made to be? All that kind of stuff. So how do you graduate high school, you decide you want to be a chef. What is the next stage? How do you get to where you are?
That's a great question. I've got a long version and a short version. I'm going to give you the short version.
Okay.
And my story is maybe not traditional. It's 50-50, I would say, but there is culinary school.
Okay.
Culinary school nowadays is not required to obtain a job as a chef. And so when I got out of high school, Corey, I was a chef and I was trying to be a professional golfer at the same time. And so I took a scholarship to go play golf for Marquette, Michigan, up on Lake Superior, and did that while trying to work in restaurants at the same time. It was impossible.
Yeah.
Ended up quitting the golf team and following my passion in the food and beverage industry.
Good for you.
And, haven't stopped ever since. But I remember when I want to say, I'm going to throw out 15. Could be a wrong age. I don't know. 15 years old. We were living in Minnesota, Moorhead, Minnesota. And I was downstairs on the couch watching the Golf Channel. My mom stuck her head downstairs and said, "Nicholas, get out of the house. Don't come back until you have a job." Oh, wow. And being a young teenager, I walked down the street or biked down the street and saw a Chinese restaurant that was hiring and got a job and went back home and started watching golf again. And I haven't left the industry since. Absolutely loved that. But some people do get out of high school and go to culinary school. My degree is in marketing and business administration.
Okay.
Which helps me in my business now. And when I was working in the industry younger and I first became a sous chef or first became an executive chef and received that role over people that had went to culinary school, I started to critically think about, do I want to go or do I want to work in the industry and gain that knowledge on the job? And the one thing I noticed, and this is just my opinion, but the one thing I noticed that they had that I didn't was maybe classic French terminology. They knew how to say what I was doing in a different language, but we both knew how to do it. And I didn't really see that being enough value for me to want to go to Mitchell Tech or a school around here that offers that. Do I think that I would like to go to culinary school someday in a different country, in a more metropolitan area? I would love that experience. But until then, it's managing, my own business and trying to be a good husband and a good father.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're trying to learn new recipes, when you're trying to teach yourself a new skill or how to cook maybe a different food that we just don't commonly have around here, how do you teach yourself that?
Yeah, and that comes hand in hand with us not pre-writing menus, right? And so maybe we, long story short, had a client that was in Ireland, met a man, got proposed to, came back to Sioux Falls to get married, wanted classic Irish food. Yeah. And I can't just do bangers and mash and call it Irish food when I'm cooking for someone that flew here from Ireland. So just to answer your question, I have to dive in and figure out ways to research authentic cooking techniques. And that's just like any academic research, right? How do you figure out where to find the authentic information versus the first few links on Google? Yeah. And so I enjoy that part of it. I enjoy challenging myself. Nothing is more fun than going to cook for a client and being asked a question that I don't know the answer to, because I guarantee you that night I'll go home and I'll find out the answer and more. So the next time someone asks me about how, baby cattle is raised, I know how to answer that question.
Yeah. Cool. So does your wife get to try all the foods?
She does get to try a lot of the foods.
Is she your guinea pig?
I don't mean this disrespectful at all. She sees this later. But my wife is a box mac and cheese connoisseur.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so we're a great combo in that aspect that I'll cook and she'll eat it. However, she is a magician when it comes to making cakes and doing pastry work. Okay. She's phenomenal at that. I think we just sent out a Facebook post today with a cake that she had just recently made. So she's great there. I'll make the cake. She'll decorate it. It's a good combo.
Okay, that's cool. We're going to keep going with some of our other stuff, just so we make sure we get through the whole list of how we normally have these going on. I could keep talking to you day after day or hour after hour about how you got there, all that good stuff with being a chef. But where are you currently from? I think you said Mormon, Minnesota?
Moorhead, Minnesota.
Moorhead. Okay, Moorhead up north. Yeah, I have some family on the just across the bridge on the Moorhead side and the North Dakota side. So been up there quite a few times. Actually proposed on that bridge that separates the two. So Moorhead always holds a little space in my heart. And how did you end up? You went to Northern Michigan for culinary school, golf, that kind of thing. How did you end up coming to Sioux Falls from there? You could go anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world being a chef. How do you pick Sioux Falls, South Dakota?
My parents at the time, when I was off in Marquette, moved to Sioux Falls. And so when I quit the golf team up in Marquette, I took an opportunity to come finish my degree at the University of Sioux Falls. And when I was here, that was right when the Hilton Garden Inn on 8th Street was being built. Elements on 8th was the restaurant inside there prior to Crave. And so I got a job as the sous chef there, helping open that hotel and that restaurant. After that, a few years later, I was the executive chef at Carnival Brazilian Grill, and happened to meet a staff person of the owner, who later became my wife. And so, and so got introduced to her, and 3 girls later, here we are.
Just happily ever after.
Yeah,
it's crazy how it all just works out. You know, you don't expect it to work that way. It just falls together.
Couldn't have it any other way though.
That's awesome. So out of everything, not just being a chef, not just golfing, not even just hobbies, what are you most passionate about in life? What is that one thing you're most passionate about?
You know, I think that answer changes with time and how things move on. I was just telling my wife yesterday how much I love education and educating others. And that came to fruition again yesterday when I was at Harrisburg High School, mentoring the culinary students there. Get to do that once, twice a month, and it's super fun to engage with young minds and really just kind of push and prod. It's fun. So I think that's something I'm really passionate about. That shows through in our cooking classes that are in person or virtual, through Harrisburg with my daughters and my wife. It's sharing my passion is something that I'm super passionate about, because it's something that's more than just a job. You know, it's a life skill. And I think so many people, especially young people our age, younger than us, struggle with preparing food for themselves.
Absolutely. I think so. And we'll kind of jump to this piece, but what is your favorite YPN event and why? Out of all the YPN events that we have, which one is your favorite?
Great question. I think, again, times change these answers. And nowadays, I think that I like your events like this, the hot seat, the seat at the table events, anything that I can catch an independent person and engage with them, whether it's in person or virtual. I love that they're streamed, because life is busy, having 2 businesses and being a family man and so on and so forth. So I can't always get to the morning buzzes or some of those other meetings. And so if I can be live streaming this event while I'm writing menu, that's awesome. I love the ability to do that. And it gives me opportunities as well. Quickly, you guys had Chef Dominique at the table a couple weeks ago. Dakota Jordan had that one. And it was really cool to hear what he had to say. And that actually led to us engaging. Him and I have been texting a little bit. We're going to grab coffee or a beer soon, which is super cool because we're competitors. But at the same time, you know, we both can learn from each other. And I appreciate that he's willing to do that with me.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things about YPN in general is you're bringing together certain people that you never thought you would have gotten to meet. I was actually at an event yesterday, and James Gasper, who's very highly active in YPN, was mentioning how he was meeting presidents of businesses just because of YPN. People he never probably would have gotten to meet as easily as he did now, or get to know them in a different light, be at events that they're at, if it wasn't for YPN. So bringing that connection together of people is something that, you know, it's helped me tremendously. And it's cool to see that, you know, something such as a virtual event of another chef talking and speaking about their business made that connection. And now you guys are going to be grabbing beers or coffee or something and just growing that relationship. That's super cool. We do have a question from Ellie. What is the craziest or most exotic thing you've ever made?
Oh boy, good question. Oftentimes, Ellie, when I make something that I think is crazy or exotic, I like it, and then it's no longer crazy or exotic. But for the general public, I think it's using proteins that aren't commonly used, right? And so maybe we're using beef tongue, or we're using chicken hearts or liver or something like that. That's fun. In terms of exotic, that's tough. I think about maybe frog legs or alligator or some type of really unique seafood that's imported. As the budget goes up, we can import higher end, more unique things. But that's a tough question. Good question.
And I'm going to keep straying on this one, but what is the most exotic piece of food that you've integrated into one of your recipes, one of your meals, anything like that you've actually truly used?
Yeah, good question. About a year ago, we did an event that was large for a bank in town where they flew in their executives, and it was kind of an appreciation event, and it was a lot of live chef stations. And we kind of themed it tropical and had to import tropical food. And through that process, I learned that you can't import tropical fruit. You have to get it through a distributor like Dole, only Dole,
okay. Yep.
And import that food. And we received crates of exotic tropical fruit, and a simple Google image search couldn't tell me what half of it was. And as a chef who prides himself in knowing what ingredients are, I mean, there was a dozen different fruits there that smelled weird, tasted weird, looked weird. I didn't know if I was supposed to eat the outside, the inside. I didn't know how to use them.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't even tell you what they're called. They were extremely exotic. I don't know what they were, and maybe there was only 2 of them or 1 or 3 in the box. But to be able to source those ingredients in the Midwest is a testament to our producers, our distributors, and our shipping. That's awesome.
Huh. Cool. Yeah, you wouldn't think it would be that tough, but yeah, I guess if you're not used to it or something like that. Good question, Ellie. Okay, what would you say are the 3 words that best describe you?
Good question. I take a lot of leadership courses, and I engage a lot in cultural conversations. Shout out to Think 3D, Tammy and Dan, Bonnie. They do a great job here in Sioux Falls. But so I think about this a lot. The 3 words that I would use today, again, ask me 6 months ago, they may have changed, but I would say Nicholas is fearless, Nicholas is innovative, and Nicholas is passionate. Those are 3 good words that I think transpire across me as a business person and me as a husband and father. Fearless, if I could explain on those, fearless being that I'm absolutely willing to take risks and not afraid to fail. I would say that I fail 50% of the time, and it only makes me stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Innovative, absolutely outside the box thinking. Oftentimes my wife has to rein me back in and say, Nicholas, not everyone is a chef like you. Stop. But just really trying to say, how do we think outside the norm here? Just because it's been done this way for the past 40 years doesn't mean it has to be done this way today. And passionate, I throw my heart into everything. I absolutely love, being a father, being a husband, cooking food, engaging with people, and that often leads itself to little to no sleep because it's a lot to do in one day. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. Absolutely love it.
That's awesome. Thank you for diving deeper on those. What would you say a normal day actually typically looks like for you? A busy day where you're not behind a computer doing the business side of things, because obviously you have to do that, but a normal day where you're being active with your cooking, where you're maybe hosting an event or preparing for an event, something like that. What would a normal day look like?
Good question. So technology is great. So utilizing technology, right? So it's a good chunk of designing, creating menus, responding to clients. That engagement, social media is super important in today's day and age. So scheduling posts and engaging with comments and shares and things like that. And then it gets into the actual event, right? And so the night before, if it's a smaller event, let's say under 50 people, I would have ordered the product online through Costco or Hy-Vee or Looks or Plums. Those are the 4 businesses in town that I'll use that I'm tax exempt at. And those products get delivered to my house. And that's amazing. Saving me time. Love it.
Yeah.
Get the products, and then I'll start devising a plan. Do we need to go to our storage facility and grab wine glasses, plates? What do we need to get to ensure that this event goes wonderfully. And then, we get all those things together, and then we show up at a client's location about 3 hours prior to the event to start preparing and setting up and designing the event. And then the event happens, and then we clean up, tear down, and come back. And when we were slower, it used to be that we could just grab a nice glass of bourbon somewhere and hang out, and then the next day worry about cleaning up everything that we brought back. But now, there's oftentimes weeks where it's Thursday through Sunday, an event every day, and we need to be able to tear down and rebuild for the next day.
Whole different type of business almost.
Totally, yeah. It can go from a plated 20-person meal to a buffet for $350, and we need completely two different sets of tools and items for that. And so it's switching over and being ready for the next day. I try to work one day ahead as much as I can, because the worst thing that I can do is get so consumed every day that I am not engaging with my kids, or I'm not engaging in one way in my life, right? I need to be able to distribute my time as evenly as I can, and that's tough. I'm very lucky to have team members that I trust and respect with Skajewski Catering that I can push some of that work off to. They're very passionate for the business as well, and I trust them representing us. That helps.
Awesome. I know we only have about 4 minutes left, and we do have a fan favorite part of 20 questions in the hot seat. Try to give you about 60 seconds, so go ahead and answer them as quick as you can. Just surefire answer off. And we might throw some tricky ones in here too that aren't in the normal list. All right. So we'll start with number 1 and push through 20, maybe even 21, 25, somewhere in there. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Call or text?
Text.
Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
Ice cream or snow cone?
Ice cream.
Music or podcast?
Music.
Apple or Android?
Android.
High tech or low tech?
High tech.
Work hard or play hard?
Work hard.
Hamburger or taco?
Taco.
Online shopping or in store?
Both online if I wish.
I was going to say that's a dangerous one just because of the whole Sam's and plums and looks and all that's high V. Coke or Pepsi?
Neither.
Neither. Okay. Iced or hot coffee?
Hot.
Save or spend?
It's a combo, but I like to spend.
Okay. TV or book?
TV.
City or countryside?
City.
Winter or summer?
Winter.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
Show or movie?
Movie. Off
the clock or morning mingle?
Off the clock.
Okay. Favorite cooking show?
So anything by Guy Fieri is fun to watch.
Guy Fieri. Okay. What's your favorite food to cook?
Right now, scallops.
Scallops. What's the easiest food to cook?
Grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese. Okay. What's the hardest?
The hardest is trying to cook something for someone that had a preconceived idea of what it was supposed to be like. That's
okay.
impossible.
What's the most complex?
Most complex thing to cook is probably, that's a hard question. I don't know. Everything can be complex. I can make a grilled cheese super complex, so I don't know.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome. Well, Nicholas, thank you so much. We are running out of time. Nicholas Skajewski, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, we do have Lucinda Noranha. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that last name incorrectly. Super fantastic person. She is with human resource manager for Landscape Garden. I personally know her from some YPN events. Super fun person to talk to. So please join us next week. We are on Facebook Live, or you can watch us afterwards, and we are also on YouTube. You can also watch us afterwards. Nicholas, where can anybody reach out to you, get a hold of you, maybe try and get you to cater for them? What is the best way to contact you?
Absolutely. They can find us on our Instagram page, Skajewski_catering, or personal as Chef Skajewski. That would be great.
Perfect. So just reach out to you on one of those. We can reach out to you and ask, what would this price range get us? Any questions like that we can ask you.
Or let's just hang out and let's talk food. I'm down for that too.
Hang out and talk food. There you go. And on Instagram, can we find pictures of food and all that stuff that you've recently cooked?
Tons of it.
You're going to make us hungry. This is a bad thing to do right at 12 to 12:30. I'm sorry, I don't know. But Nicholas, I'm excited to meet you in person at an event coming up. But we are done now.
All right. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Nicholas. We'll see you.